Hey gang, on my way out to Wimberley, Texas to finish the tattoo and facilitate some house calls along the way. Wanted to expand upon my strength test number 14 that I showed the other day, because it brings up a huge point that we cover as part of visits when we do virtual evaluations and virtual programming. Training is a big portion of it for an individual, and it's going over how to design your own daily programs, because you just have no idea who you're going to be that day, and what version, and what level of healing, what you're going to be experiencing, what your energy budget is, what your nourishment is, who you've been with, and everything's going to touch everything. That's why it's like, what are you going to eat on Saturday? That would be the question around training. You would have no idea. You got to see who you are on Saturday. So very, 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 very sensitive when you are dealing with those elements in designing your training. And I know that we're just like, but I go to a place 3 times a week, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about training as an essential. An essential means there's something that you do every single day. An essential is a non-negotiable. These are things that the body, the human body, you need every single day to put yourself in a position to sense and understand and then facilitate changes that are required, whether you're experiencing symptoms just to live, or whether your body's like, hey, how you're living, you got to change it. You got to change a lot, or you got to change a little. So my strength test, that one was very unique, and I was kind of pumped up about it, really pumped up about it, because it shows 2 factors. It shows a suppleness, a pliability to even just get in the position that I was in with the bridge and my face on the ground. And then there comes a level of almost moldable iron, or a rigidity, a resilience that literally comes from, tissues that act almost like wiring, like pieces of metal, for me to even withstand the forces that were going in through my body in that position. So there was supple and pliability, but then there's also this massive expression of resilience, adaptation, and rigidity at the same time. They both had to be dancing at the same time, and that's not always the case with a lot of my strength tests. Some of them are just, how much can you sustain? The positions are kind of neutral. They're not really tough to get into, but they are very hard to just adapt to. And so that is something that gets lost in today's definition of what people think training is, or even activity. First of all, let's just dissolve that. Activity, the things you do in your day, like hiking, walking, biking, swimming, gardening, farming, whatever it is, music, artistry, whatever it is, the activities that you like to do, because we keep hearing that in order to be healthy, you have to be active. I couldn't agree more, but now we're trying to combine an essential of life that's so pivotal and critical, called training, or deliberate, focused movements, and then knock out 3 birds, 2 birds, 4 birds with 1 stone, and I went for a walk for 3 miles, or I garden every day, or I dance in my dance class every day, or I go with my group in the morning, we paddleboard every day, or something. There's an enjoyable thing with those. So those activities provide many essentials for you, like community and social connection and a purpose and a relationship in some way, and it's nourishment in some way, and it's outdoors in some way. So there is stuff you're getting, but it is absolutely not training. And how you know this is if you count on that as your training essential, eventually your body will let you know that you can't keep going that way. You're going to have to change. It lets you know with symptoms. It lets you know with fear, apprehension. It lets you know with stiffness, rigidity, injuries, symptoms of different systems like endocrine or immune or musculoskeletal or respiratory or neurological or whatever it's going to be. So that's one way to just understand the proof behind it, that you just can't keep going, assuming you want to. And that's the big thing, is as soon as you lose the things you love to do, your life then becomes very, you you start not looking forward to it. You start not caring for it. You start losing reason. And that's a very beautiful, because we choose that, but the way the body responds in that type of scenario is very beautiful, but very healing in nature, and it won't make sense to a lot of people. And a lot of people will start to come down and go, oh my God, they're sick, they're falling apart, they've lost hope, they've lost all da. The body never leaves you even when you go through those experiences. So again, what training is as an essential to a human being, and what it's been defined as, we want to take it back, because there's almost like two camps. It's like there's this really extreme, rigid, militant, ex-Navy SEAL, podcaster, beard, tattoo, hormone injections and testosterone injections and peptide injections, like all these cheats and biohacks, and just this extreme, usually coupled with a cold tub, something mentally tough, grueling, holy shit, get up, 5 a.m. club, no matter how you feel, just get your ass out of bed, lift weight, push iron, go to the gym, do this, do that. There's this rigid, militant punishment, so to speak, discipline, which you shouldn't really need discipline to do much of anything, unless it's just stuff you don't want to do. And there's nothing essential in life that you don't want to do when you understand why you do it. Just like you don't ever not want to take care of your kids. You don't ever not want to take care of your pets. So you don't need discipline to do the things you love. You just do them because you love them. That's what it's got to be with you. So this concept of discipline is very warped, where it's just, if you need discipline to do an essential in life, then you don't really know why you're doing it. And so the other camp from that world is this soft, gentle, slow, smile all the time, pleasant, present, never aggressive, never invasive, do not get uncomfortable. Really accepting and asking for permission and allowing it in and holding space for, and never traumatic. Don't upset your body. Don't get uncomfortable. Don't feel level. And okay. And what I'm here to say is, dissolve both of those, but in the truest sense of what the body needs to be stimulated to prepare for life, it needs the spectrum of both of those, not the modes of both of those, not the how people are doing both of those, not at all. We want to get rid of both of those. But the spectrum, you need intense, rigid, resilient, you need a high level of intensity. You have to at some point stimulate the body greater than anything you've ever encountered, or greater than anything you will encounter or want to encounter. Has to be. If you desire to heal from any trauma, any injury, any symptom of any kind, your body needs to be stimulated greater than anything that caused the damage. That's Rehab 101. But we don't always have the space for that. We don't always have the energetic load for that. We don't always have the mentality for that. We don't always have the opportunity to give that every single day, there's no way. So then on the other end of things, there are times where you absolutely have to be very, very gentle. You have to be very, very slow. You have to be very, very, very simple and accommodating for you and only you. And then within those have to be all versions between those two sets. And those two sets, endpoints, are determined by you. True training as a non-negotiable, not what everyone's doing, not activity, not play, not social, not community, not enjoyable. Deliberate movement to prepare your body for everything you're going to do in the levels of force and energy of your life have to combine both ends that you determine, and then everything in between. But there are seasons where you are going to have to be more on that side. There are seasons where you're going to have to be more on that side. There are seasons where you're going to have to be both. And so that's why I did that. I like that test that I did the other day on concrete, the bridge on my face, because it brings both to represent that both ends of what I'm facilitating for my training. I'm not training like anybody else, and nobody else is training like me. And when we do evaluations, it is not telling you to train like me. That is not how it works. It's not telling you to train like a Navy SEAL. That is not how it works. It's not telling you to train like a person who has no job, no kids, no responsibility, no other inputs other than just calmly train every single day. Nope. It is going to be your version, just like nobody can tell you how to eat, but it's got to involve both. There has to be supple, gentle, slow, pliable. There has to be rigid, resilient, gritty, intense. There has to be both of those. And then how do you know it's working? Well, I like tests like that just to see, but then you also know, because your life is the ultimate test, what is your body saying about how you're living and what needs to change? And if you're going to change one thing, you got to change them all. So if you're going to dabble in training, you're going to dabble in nourishment, you're going to dabble in relationships, or you're going to dabble in energy or hormones, or you're going to dabble in rest and light and all these other things, you're going to have to dabble in the others. You have to touch it all, because it all intertwines together. You can't talk training, as I said, and not go into relationships. You can't talk relationships and not go into nourishment. You can't talk nourishment and not go into training. You can't talk training and go into rest. You can't talk rest and go into light. You can't talk light and go into your purpose and your career and your desires and your peace and your intention and your beliefs and your values. You have to go into all this. But just from the training finger of all this, of the hand of you, the training finger has to have both ends of the spectrum determined by you, but tasted by you and your version, your input choice. And again, life hits both. Life delivers both, sometimes at the same time. You are going to have to prepare for both. Even if you think your life is going to be fairly soft, you still are going to experience emotions and relationships and slips and falls and sneezes and coughs and interpretation of events through emotions, feelings, and thoughts. Those hit very, very aggressively. That's why training is going to have to show up aggressively, even in the gentle life. And then on the gentle side of things, your aggressive life is going to have a foundation that is just unrelenting, unsustainable, unfatiguing. This gentle, consistent, slow sides to you. You're going to have to bring them both in. And that demonstration of that test 2 days ago is at a state of being where I'm still symptomatic. I still have things I'm healing from. This year has been massively slow, has been massively gentle. But within that, we still facilitate training to that version of me, and then it still offers the opportunity to test that out. And I was extra pumped, because I am not even near having an opportunity to have the full tank available. It's just not there. It's offsetting into healing responses elsewhere.